So this should be the point where everyone can see and hear me. If this is correct, please feel free to let me know, or I'm just continue speaking to whoever might be listening. But thanks a lot for joining this No Slides conference, and hope you share your thoughts, feedback, questions anytime in the chat, as long as still no one wrote something, but feel free to interrupt me, because what I want to show you is about the events we're collecting and the journey that those events are describing. And for today's example, I would like to, there was hello from Timo, and it sounds like someone can hear me at least. And in today's journey, I'd like to tell you the event that will flow from the people's mind that creating product that want to track user or create marketing campaigns or that want to know if your website's up and running, to the whole process of implementing it, processing it, maybe enhancing events and all this stuff. And yeah, let's go into it. So questions, I see a lot of haze. So hey, the one thing I like to start with a shout out at the beginning is a tool that I'm using. It's called Pulumi. This will be something to run the tests I'm using here. It's open source software for infrastructure as code, which is pretty cool. And my suggestion is to check it out. I became a huge fan in the beginning. It's like Terraform, but as code. And I've heard before from the other presentation that showing slides forbidden, even in Miro, but sometimes I thought it might be easier to start with this to show you what I'm talking about. If anyone feels disrupted by this, let me know. But journey starts usually with the why and the planning part of why we want to measure something, what we want to measure, how to do it, and the actual tagging of the website. This is everything an organization has to do in the beginning. And usually people load GTag on their site using Google Tag Manager, and those events will be sent to those usually black holes where the data layer is going to process anything. And sometimes historically grown setups will end up where people have to debug, where people have to figure out if the implementation was wrong, if the custom definition was missing in some famous marketing tools. And I want to talk about an alternative solution by not just creating data layer pushes, but enriching events in the beginning. So this is where I'm going to send a new, let's do this, a new tag on a website where users will load the open, so I forgot this one. Everything I talk about as well is open source. I'm creator of WalkerOS, and including Walker.js, which is a web library that helps you to collect data. So you can use anything for free, anything should be documented here in the documentation. And this is our ultimate goal. And even more, we're going to send this one to BigQuery. Oh, now we've seen the slide quite often. To process data. So what's happening on a website, if a user's entering a website, is that user either loads the GTag.js or any other tracking tool or tag management system. But for today's showcase, I created a custom script that will be available in the code repository that I think I just published this one. So if you want to have a sneak peek, you can go to the to this repository, lpwalker/talks, and go to the No Slides branch. I haven't merged it yet. And here you'll see the whole code base I'm talking about with a few information what I've done in the beginning. And you can see all this code I'm using. So lpwalker/talks it is. And if we go on a website, loading the website, we usually initialize everything. I want to know if there are some global states. Is the user logged in? Is the language set to English, German, whatever language you're offering your services? And if there's a version for the tagging, like is this version 9 or 10 or 11? Because sometimes we add things, we remove things. And a few things users might do is to set some consent states. And that depends, or this might influence on how we detect sessions. So sessions can be started using the storage. For this, you usually need consent in order to have the permission and to persist information, like user coming back tomorrow or has been there 2 weeks ago. We need consent, and with this we can set IDs. But I think let's show the code. It's way more important. So this is, sorry, I mixed it up a little bit. I use this index file for everyone. This might be better readable. That you can use to define your infrastructure as code. It creates a bucket. It makes it publicly available to all the users. And here's the URL we can open to load a website. And this is a demo website that will process events, that will parse anything. And here I'm going to implement everything. So this is the infrastructure code we're running. Its code is here in the www bucket with anything written down in this file. And here's also the tag.js, something that will implement all the tracking, how we collect or how we detect sessions. It requires marketing consent. It will use the storage once we are granted permission to access the storage. And we're going to send the data to an API, which is also provisioned by the Spolumi service. It's available here. So honestly, it's an awesome tool. It's based on this serverless application. So there's only little modification I made on this one, but you can look it up. It's like server-side tag management, but just in a lean version for where you can process 2 million events for $1 a month. But anyway, we're going to load this tag.js on our website, and it should send data to our ingestion service, and it should send data to GA4 because people usually are happy if you see that data is flowing to GA4, even if we don't using it here. And the other part is where we received anything that will be the function. And with this function, we do a lot of things I'm going to talk about later. But after the first 10 minutes, I think we should think about how we detect what we are doing on a website. So users are triggering something, and the question is what they're triggering, where they are triggering it. And it could be a click on a button that will be possible to set up to, it might be a little bit small. Where's the button? Here it is. So if you click something, it will trigger the start action, and this will be the promotion. So what we're measuring here is the promotion click. So once I click on it, decline it. Once I click on the button, we should, let me just load the non-cached version I'm using here. I think I messed up something in the demo previously. No, still anything should work. Promotion. Something just broke. This is fun. I love those things where I do some last minute updates and data is not being processed the way I intend to do so, but I can figure it out and you will help me anyway. So yeah, ready to walk. We will find a solution on this one. I described anything in an event model like this. And these are the events that we're going to create once we had the trigger by a user and we understood what was clicked from what. So it might be the button with the promotion click. And we go to collect the data that it's assigned to it. So it might be promotion view with some more information we use to tag here. And this could be Klassiker. This could be, why is it not showing up in the queue here? Third-party blocks. I'll find a way to debug it because it's still sending the data. Sorry for this little confusion here. I don't want GA4 data to be processed anymore. So here it is. Okay, it's not showing immediately in the console, but it's showing once I click on it, it will be sent to our API that we just provisioned. We send all this information that a product was clicked and it was added to the cart, and we have data information like what's the name of it, what's the price. Those are all the properties that are tagged here. So by using HTML attributes in your markup language with data product price, you get a real time, or you get the actual state of a user that will process or make the walker run on your site to collect all the information. And it says, okay, someone clicked on the button. It might be this one over here. So click on the button, you got the add action from a product that will have a price like 217 euros, and it should have the name of Party Pants. And this data will be sent to our API, because we did this in our not function, but in our in our tag.js here, where we said, okay, send everything once you have functional consent to the web destination API. And that's what we're doing to this URL. It should be 794, and it's 794. Okay, so it's live. And we don't stop here. We can use this tagging, and I spoke about this many times before. There are also more talks and visualization about this, but the context where the event is embedded in, this is also interesting. If there's something outside of this little event we just triggered, we can see that there are other attributes set, like journey, data context, journey, discover, with the module recommendation. If we go further and we go to a detailed site on our page, we might see that there's also event from the product we're seeing, but this time it should have the journey detail stage. So what I like to think about when stepping back and asking the question with companies, why you want to measure something, what's the planning, then start the tagging. This is usually the skip part. And the ultimate goal is for an e-commerce store, for example, to sell stuff. For a career page, it might be to get an application for new talents that apply for your open positions. And this event is something they have a few stages to get to. And whatever the events are that might trigger this, it all comes down to the journey steps, where we have a discover stage, where we promote something, where we promote products in this example, where we go into more detailed stage. And this is what we're using the context for example. And the context will be always included for every single event within our events. So the enrichment here for checkout might be in the checkout stage. And everything inside these events will have automatically added context like that. And then there are more information. So if we initialize the globals, something that are globally available on our site, like here we tagged something where the global's language should be always EN, or the card value should be 42. We can see that every single event will have this information available. And with this data, we apply the content state. We had the session IDs, where we know, okay, there's a user with a session ID, and then we add more information, like group information. So every time I go on a site, I have one group ID, something that will change once I reload the page, send new data. The group ID will be different. Where is it? Group is now another one. And we're counting events. And with this information, we're now able to add some more details about how long it took for me to, for example, place something to the cart. With this timing variable, it took 20 seconds for me to place something to the cart. We have something like a full event. And this event will be checked for consent states, mapped and sent to some destinations, like the API destination we just created. And that destination looks like this, where we receive data from a Cloud Function. It will parse our event. It will add some more information, like a user's hash, to fingerprint someone with a daily changing hash value, because we get the new date. So it might be a little bit of code here, but it's something we can use now with full control. We can have our service where we ingest something, we validate it. If there are fields not available, we can drop further processing, we can enrich it. And we can do this by, for example, adding a new fingerprint on this one, adding information where the user is coming from, user and agent information. And here we can set another destination like BigQuery, for example. And also we can remove some data. With this, we have another full event that will be mapped and sent to, for example, a storage layer, which could be BigQuery in this case. And I'm not just talking about this. I also want to see if it really works. Okay, here are the events all coming in. Yeah, that looks good. So they should be available in my BigQuery playground, where you can now take a look, take all the events from the playground from today. Okay, and here they are. We store everything as, or in this example, we can store everything as JSON schema. So the events table I used in this code base, where it's my playground for the data set and the table. Here we, it's difficult with one window to work with only. Where's my query? Didn't I just query this one? Or did I mix up my, oh, here it is. I remember. Here's my query and here's my data. So once I send data again, sorry for this little confusion. If there's this foobar event with a test value, it will be sent now to my foobar with the content states I'm working. It's the 8th event now. English and card value are added, and it should be available in my BigQuery. 9 events for now. Let's check for another one. Oh, yes. Sorry, wrong window. Here it is. Here's now my data streamed. And with this information, we have full flexibility. We have a few structural points where data is in JSON object, context has a specific structure. We have the globals. And with this, we can go further now, start these ETL things, where you, for example, want to use data form to create a view based on this data fields, where you select this events table, and then you're going to pre-process all the event data, like the journey I spoke before. What's the journey state? I haven't mentioned it yet. Another event tracking framework. Yeah, it's kind of, and my goal, someone wrote, oh, look, another event-driven tracking framework. It started all on how to implement data layer pushes in the most reliable and easiest way. And everything I send to an API can also be sent or made available in the data layer as well. So here's everything that we usually know in the structure as we've defined it. And you can have multiple destinations. So it's not just the event model, but it's also, if you go for GA4 mapping or implementing Pivot Pro, you can do it that way. So my goal was to have something before tracking, implementing data layer, something that checks for the consent states, something that will enrich all this stuff. So all the things I've showed you here, where we got through the full journey of what's the initialization, what's the mutation observer that will check if something was visible, like now the 4 products that will be sent to our, so if I reload the page and you got this mutation observer, because it was the visible trigger, it triggers exactly this, but it's a more standardized way on how to create something. They know it's a LinkedIn user, but I'm looking forward to see who you are. I can't see your name because you said Matti Timo knows by now I'm a secret agent on LinkedIn. Okay. Sorry, this is Schnitzel OS. If you go to Matty's site and maybe he merged his pull request I made, you can see the data Schnitzel events, but oh, this is confusing. Sorry, I'm losing myself now. We can have something where we pre-process all the stuff to flatten the events with a view, and having this, you get a pretty good view on how to now have your data pre-processed the way we've been defining it in the beginning. So we have all the data information, but now we have the information that there was a user in the discover stage, a user with the session ID. The user has card value. It's pretty boring because those are static values. But here we have a predefined view that will extract all the data we had collected earlier with the hash generated. My feed is full of schnitzel now. That's so stupid. I'm sorry, but it makes me happy. Matthew, please merge that branch. It will make me very happy because it will just make me happy. You can have the installation where you can configure the prefix of your styles like data elp, and it can become data schnitzel. And one day, browsing the internet, seeing data schnitzel would be lots of fun. But anyway, this is something where I used Pulumi to for example, make some updates here on my site. You can run deploy. So if you're not familiar with this coding setup using TypeScript and all this stuff, feel free to reach out anytime. Here, just want to show you that the code is here working. You can see I rebuilt everything and I could upload it again. So adding, for example, here, and say we have event.custom will now be schnitzel yummy. We can try to, if this is a good idea, redeploy everything. So this is some kind of enrichment to our data. Might be stupid, but might show you that it's real. Pulumi checked that the function has changed. I'm going to update it. It's similar to the publish button on the GTM, as we usually know. This one's a little bit more codey, more hacky, but here we can also send data, for example, not just to BigQuery, but also to another API, like the server-side API. But now every event should have the information schnitzel as well. It should have the information about the region a user is coming from. And if update's not working that long, yeah, let's wait. Shall we wait? I can look what else I want to show you, because there was a whole journey an event can go. We've seen that we have this ingestion service, which was a function. We've seen that how to validate, enrich, redact the data. We send it to, for example, BigQuery. The user stitching. This might be something, this is a little bit tricky, but I wrote a guide on this one. So if you go to the documentation, the guides for user stitching, it says how, for example, I see a data table with the hash information, the session ID, device ID, and all the stuff. This is how we bring users together. And then we're going for activation. The last part is very important: analyzing data, understanding data, using data. Let me see if the schnitzel's there. It was updated. So going to updating. So much I thought I could present to you, but now time is running out and I spend way too much talking about schnitzel. For example, if your site might change, the context of the site might also be updated. So once I'm in this A/B test here, where is it? You might see I set another context. So new events will have this information with this beautiful font. So once I go for this autocomplete event, here on the last part, it will have the information that I was part of this A/B testing group with a beautiful font. And this data doesn't have the custom information here yet. It was enriched by our server-side implementation. And hopefully, there might be an autocomplete event where we can see this user with this user hash and session ID is also having the enriched information available. The event was now part of the A/B test. And I highly recommend, not just because we talked about Schnitzel a lot, but Matthew told about renaming the events and on not naming events at all. Brad Frost, I guess it was Atomic Design. Atomic Design is something I use a lot on how to tag websites from a button to a huge page, to a whole page. And here we don't know where this button might be implemented in. Will it be part of this card, this promotion banner? Will it be a button for adding something to cart? Components will be stacked onto each other, and it will define the context will be rendered only on the user side. And with all this information, we can't predict server side nor in the beginning before implementing tagging how a site will be rendered, which product will be recommended in this specific order. So we need something that will sit where the user is seeing a rendered page. And we do this all the time with classical CSS. And if this one's nested into this one, we know how to define everything. And data should be, the tracking should adopt this schema, which is proven since the 90s. And this is what Walker.js with the tagging does. And having a full journey until it really ends when you use it is something where you can, of course, map and send data also to this data layer stuff. And you should use those marketing tools like GA4. But before, having a standardized way that will help you to handle consent, detect anything, enrich data, having the option to also map and send data on the server side to send it to a server-side tag manager in a live debugging session that will easily help you to add some very important information. As Philip just wrote, context is king, and context might influence how a website might appear. Context will tell you on which position you are on the site, and time tells me that I'm done with 30 minutes of talking. And thanks a lot for watching this. Thanks a lot if you followed me the whole time, and if you didn't drop out at some certain time. Feel free to reach out, read the user's guide, read more about how we detect sessions. I love developing all this stuff open source, and I learn a lot from giving those presentations and hearing your feedback, learning from measure camps, learning from others. As I said, I presented everything open source, and if it's not just this WalkOS package, but also this talks repository, you can follow up with the information on try it yourself. So 1 minute over time. And I haven't really looked at your questions. Comic Sans, yeah, I used Comic Sans for my test. Structured design system, yes. Yes and no. Everyone is having some sort of design system because everyone is using CSS to style a website. And every company that is capable of deploying a button that is green, red, or gray is also capable of adding information, not it's the green button, but it's the accept button. And it's rendered into this consent simulation. So you can use Matthew's method of saying, okay, this might be a card, for example, or a card, and it was the contact was accept green button or primary button or the decline button. and then have a generic approach, components stacked together will create all those events. But having this structure for the full flexibility, while it's still statically defined, a user can have any information like location and all the stuff, but user.device with ETL processes like data form, you can create views like the events data view and all the stuff. It's a good thing. What else? Context key, Philip said. Absolutely, totally agree. Context is key. I'm not sure if I should just leave 30 minutes, 40 seconds. How can you have a product or website today without a design system? That sounds like very, very young startup. Yeah, yes and no. I agree. This website is also just a pure HTML, and I had to. Anyway, you discussed it. I was able to style this website, therefore I was able to tag it. No, if there are no more questions or no serious ones, I'm happy that you stayed here. Thanks again, and enjoy all the other talks. And feel free to reach out on LinkedIn and have a good day. So, bye-bye. See you.